Podcast title, This England, This Rat Hole. Episode 2, The Reality of Homelessness and Government Neglect. Intro. Welcome back to This England, This Rat Hole, a place where we don't sugarcoat the truth. We speak it as it is. Today I want to talk about something that isn't just a crisis, it's a disgrace. Every single night, thousands of people sleep on the streets of Britain. Every single day, more of them die. And yet, nobody in power seems to care. The government has taken an attitude of, let them. If these were road deaths, we'd see outrage, action, new laws overnight. But because it's the homeless, nothing happens. Let's talk about the reality they don't want you to see. The numbers they ignore. In 2023 alone, 1,474 homeless people died in the UK. That's a 12% rise in just 1 year. Rough sleeper deaths have increased by 42%. Think about that for a second. That means on average, 4 homeless people die every single day in this country. Now imagine if 4 people were dying in car crashes every day because of dangerous roads. The government would be holding press conferences, bringing in emergency measures, enforcing new laws. But because it's the homeless, there's silence. Nothing is done. The leading causes of these deaths, drugs, alcohol, and suicide, almost half of them, 47%, fall into this category. Not accidents, not natural causes. These people are being driven to despair, and society has turned its back on them. The real reasons behind it. Let's be honest, it's not just about not having a house. Homelessness is the final stage of a system that's failing at every level. It starts with poverty, with mental health struggles, with addiction, with people losing jobs, losing families, losing hope. And when they reach that breaking point, there's no safety net to catch them. Instead, we have councils who look the other way. Slum landlords renting out sheds and garages to desperate people for extortionate prices. Communities falling into neglect, while politicians sit in their comfortable homes and pretend not to see. They tell us there's no money, that they can't fix the housing crisis, but there's always money for foreign aid, always money for MPs' pay rises, always money wasted on things that don't help the British people. Who is to blame? This decline didn't happen overnight, and it didn't happen by accident. It started with Blair and has continued under every government since. The doors were opened wide, mass migration changed the makeup of communities, and many local councils were taken over by people who put their own interests first. Look at the areas in the worst condition today. The high streets left to rot, the streets filled with rubbish, the overcrowded housing, the crime, the poverty. These are the places that have been neglected for decades, and no one in power cares enough to fix them. Why? Because to them, the people suffering aren't important. If these deaths were happening to their own, they'd be taking action. But these are the forgotten people, the ones who don't make the money, the ones who don't have a voice. What needs to change? So what can be done? Let's start with the basics. First, housing reform. No more slum landlords. No more overcrowded illegal rentals. No more people forced to live in garages and sheds. Second, mental health and addiction support. These deaths aren't just from exposure. They're from despair. People need help before they reach the streets, not after. Third, accountability. We need to start naming and shaming councils and politicians who ignore these issues. If they won't take action, they don't deserve their positions. But most of all, we need public pressure. They get away with this because people let them, because the media stays quiet, because most of society walks past a homeless person without giving them a second thought. That has to change. Final thoughts. This is where we are now. This is England, a country where people are left to die on the streets, while those in power do nothing. But the more we talk about it, the harder it is for them to ignore. So don't let this be forgotten. Share this message. Talk about it. Keep pushing, because if we stay silent, nothing will change.
Hey there, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. It only takes a few clicks and means a lot to me. Thank you.